Conventional wisdom says that smartphones in 2018 are little more than glass slabs with similar features, and while the discerning enthusiast knows this isn't true, there are plenty of differentiators. The new OnePlus 6 is a great example of a ubiquitous slab with little real character or star quality, other than value, since it retains the OnePlus tradition of offering flagship chipsets at a relatively affordable price. The OnePlus 6 is, at the end of the day, utterly unremarkable, which is in part why this proto-review is so relatively brief. There's simply not as much to talk about as on some of the genuine Android flagships, other than price. Starting as low here is £469, including VAT in the UK, compared to £800 plus for the Galaxy S9 Plus shooting this phone show. The other reason is that I'm basing these, well, review-like thoughts on a single day with the device, thanks to Neil Gilroy for the loan. But don't switch off. This show is just as much about the place the OnePlus 6 has in the overall smartphone pantheon in 2018. Just as the Honor 10 from the last phone show is the best smartphone Honor has ever made, so the OnePlus 6 is the best it has made so far. There are some genuine improvements over last year's OnePlus 5T. The rear is now glass rather than aluminium. You don't get Qi wireless charging. The addition of OIS to the main camera. The addition of a notch to the display, effectively pushing status information either side of the front camera and sensors and giving more screen real estate. See, I'm not against the notch. The inclusion of optional gestures for navigation, of which more later, which give dramatically more screen area for content. Android 8.1 out of the box, a 256GB version is available, albeit at extra cost. 6 good reasons. Add them up and the OnePlus 6 is a definite step up from last autumn's flagship. Perhaps not enough for a 5T owner to upgrade, but certainly enough for someone with the original OnePlus 5 or before. Or of course for someone coming from another mark and not wanting to pay £800 plus. Which is where we come to the smartphone continuum, the pantheon of phones. In the Android world, approaching 90% market share now, there's a phone at every price point in every market. If you're watching this, then the chances are that you don't want something of low specification or low quality, and you do want something with good support in terms of updates and repairs. In Western markets, the Honor 10 128GB at £400, the OnePlus 6 128GB at just over £500, and the Galaxy S9 Plus at £870 are 3 good options worth investing in. The Honor 10 has almost everything in a genuinely gorgeous design. The OnePlus 6 ditto, but with a much more standard Android implementation, while the S9 Plus literally has everything but the kitchen sink built in, but it also pulls no punches in terms of budget. Size-wise, smartphones are now converging on the OnePlus 6 S9 Plus form factor, slightly too large for comfortable one-hand use, but with displays large enough for very satisfying browsing or media watching. And I had no complaints with the OnePlus 6 here. The all-glass design does mean that a case is de rigueur, at least when out and about, though OnePlus themselves do some excellent snap-on cases, including one with the original OnePlus sandstone finish. I loved it. Super grippy and durable. As with the Honor 10 and Galaxy S9 Plus, of course, there's a 3.5mm headphone jack. Good to see that mainstream manufacturers haven't abandoned this consumer favourite feature. The DAC behind the jack isn't amazing a la LG V30, but it's demonstrably good enough, and the whole is much better than messing around with Type-C dongles and compromises. Also down the bottom on the opposite side of the ubiquitous USB Type-C jack is the single speaker. I haven't got a demo for you, but it's fine for navigation and speakerphone calls, but it's harsh and pretty rubbish for media watching, and easy to block when gaming. The display itself is 6.28 inches and an AMOLED at 19:9 and 1080p. It's perfectly fine, and the notch is used sensibly with the software option to black out the ears and make sure the status text is white. No complaints again. Where I do have a beef with OnePlus, Honor and many other Chinese manufacturers is in their insistence on including plastic screen protectors out of the factory. Now maybe these make sense for the man in the street who won't be careful with their phone, but given that underneath the fragile plastic is incredibly hard Corning Gorilla Glass 5 and that the plastic also reduces screen contrast outdoors, the very first thing I do is rip it off and enjoy the display the way Corning intended. Under the hood is a cutting-edge Snapdragon 845 chipset and 6 or 8 gig of RAM, making the OnePlus 6 immensely future-proof. With no micro SD card slot in the pop-out tray, there's room for 2 nano SIMs worldwide, a very useful facility in many countries, sometimes even a must-have, so well done, OnePlus. Below the camera island on the back is an oval-shaped fingerprint sensor. This is lightning fast, and it means you don't even have to set up the face unlock capability, which also works well but doesn't authenticate for Android Pay. Finally, the OnePlus 6 camera hardware is similar to that on last year's OnePlus models, i.e. 16 megapixels plus 20 megapixels with f over 1.7 apertures, but the first and main camera now has OIS, as I said, making short work of low light scenes in the same way as competing phones. I was blown away by how good the OnePlus 6 camera was in terms of stills. The company has really sorted out the image processing and enhancement in the Oxygen OS camera app, and results were right up there with the best of the phone world, even under the indistinct overcast lighting for my brief test period. Yes, images are still sharp, and yes, there's some artificial colour boosting going on, but it's all restrained and sensible. Video captures up to 4K, of course, though stabilisation was curiously broken on the test phone. Apparently a reboot fixes it. Who knew? I'm sure updates are coming, so I'll give OnePlus a pass here. As most readers will know, Oxygen OS is built on top of AOSP, Android open source project, and is comparatively lightweight and nimble. This means there's not a lot to sort out when setting the phone up, and it means that OnePlus can get OS updates out quickly. The review handset was on the May 2018 security patch. Android 8.1 out of the box, and you can immediately dive into the Android P beta if you want to, which is great, by the way, and it's pretty stable. There are the usual theme options to play around with, achieving the look and feel of your choice, hiding the notch, choosing your navigation method, and so on. Now, this last is interesting because OnePlus has implemented an iPhone-like full-screen gesture system. In fact, it goes further, since you don't have to live with a white bar to swipe up from, as on the iPhone. Here you just swipe up from full-screen content to go home, swipe up and hold for recent apps, or swipe up from the left of the screen to go back. It only takes seconds to learn and works really, really well. Combined with the notch allowing status data to move up, we've never had such a large screen for content on this form factor. As a regular user of the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, again shooting this, which shares the exact same form factor and feel in the hand, reviewing the OnePlus 6 was fascinating. The S9 has superior, well, wait for it, display, camera, microphone, stereo speakers, waterproofing, health sensors, DAC, always on display, a pretty compelling list. But then the OnePlus 6 is roughly £300 cheaper. That's a pretty damn big saving if money is short. Enough left over to pick up a good mid-ranger for another family member as well, perhaps even a second-hand OnePlus 5T for the complete OnePlus family. Like previous OnePlus flagships, you're not getting flagship features across the board, just where it matters, for power and future-proofing. If you want a fast and capable Android handset at a sensible price, then look no further. If you can't stretch this, get the Honor 10. And if you can't stretch to £400 either, just pick the Motorola phone that matches your budget. Or investigate the second-hand market. See the PSC Classifieds Google Plus group for some bargains and join in the fun. It's where I picked up this Galaxy S9 Plus, you know, and I saved £150 on the RRP only a fortnight after launch. So that's the smartphone pantheon. Options, options.